Okay. Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Jeb, and I said I was going to do a live Q&A today. Well, sorry, I'm a little bit. I just kind of got up. So, anyways, I'm going to do a live Q&A. I got a few questions from Facebook and Instagram to answer. I'm just going to get into it. The first question is from Chris Roxbury, and his question is, would you ever consider training people to base jump? I know you did someone on one over the years with certain people, but was wondering if you would do groups. And the answer to that question is no, I would never train groups of people. I think base jumping is a it's an incredibly dangerous thing to do and very high risk, and it kills people. And me personally, the amount of energy and effort that goes into training someone properly is extreme. So for me to teach someone, I would have to spend an enormous amount of time with them. So the only people who I'm willing to train are people I care about. Someone who, I'm going to be willing to spend at least a year to 2 years of my life traveling around the world with, jumping with, a lot. So to answer that question is no, I'm never going to teach base jumping to strangers, to people who I am not connected to in some way. I have to get to know someone. I have to want to do. I'd have to want to spend that much time with somebody, because it's something that for me would take an enormous amount of time to train them to do it properly. There's a lot of courses out there: Apex Base, Miles Dasher. But anyways, there's a bunch of them, and those people are all very good instructors. They're all willing to take on the risk and the liability of what it is to teach someone to do something like that. So for me, I just kind of, anyone who asks me who wants to learn to base jump, I always just kind of, if I don't know them, then I just kind of push them off to someone else. If someone were to come to me with like $1 million, which they're never going to, but if somebody were to say, I'll pay you $1 million to teach me, I'd be like, well, put the money in my account, and then that would give me the time to do it. But it's such a time-consuming experience that, again, it would have to be someone I either really knew and cared about, or it would have to be, such a crazy amount of money that it just wouldn't be feasible for anybody. So, anyways, to answer your question, no, I'm never going to do group courses, and I'm pretty much not going to be teaching people I don't know well. Anyway, so that's that one. What's your ultimate goal? The one thing you want your name attached to before leaving, the thing you want people to remember you most for. That question comes from Jeffrey Villeneuve. I guess that's how. Sorry if I'm totally butchering your last name, but honestly, I don't really think of things in those terms. Like I don't really care that much about what people think of me, whether it's good or bad. It's kind of irrelevant. I mean, if somebody thinks the things I do are cool and they like the things that I do, great. I mean, that's nice. I'm glad that people enjoy, or that some people enjoy, the things that I do. But if people don't like what I do, then I don't really care. If somebody thinks that what I do is bad or wrong, or for some reason offends them in some way, I always see that as kind of a personal problem for them, not me. When I choose to do something, it's something that I have already thought about and come to the decision that it was something that was important to me, and that it's something I wanted to do, and it's something that made me happy and brought something to my life. And if somebody else doesn't like that, or doesn't appreciate that, or doesn't understand that, well, that's their issue, not mine. So I've never really cared too much about what other people think about me and the decisions that I make. When I was really young in grade school, I got bullied extremely. I grew up in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I was one of the very few white children in the school, and I was also always a new kid. I went to 6 different schools from 1st to 6th grade, so I was constantly bullied by big groups of people, and I learned really quickly that you can't be too concerned about what other people think about you. And I actually think that experience made me a much stronger person throughout the rest of my life, because now, I mean, I could care less what people think about me and the things that I do. I just don't care. So to answer your question is, I'm just doing what I'm doing, and some people like it, some people don't, and I'm fine with that. People are entitled to their opinions, and I don't really care what people think. I don't really care what they think of me when I'm gone. It's not really relevant to me, So to answer your question, I'm just doing what I'm doing. And whatever people get from that, if it's good, great. Yeah, it's awesome. I'm happy that some people get some good stuff out of it. If it's negative and some people don't like what I do, well, that's their issue, not mine. I don't care. So either way, it's irrelevant to me. And you'll see in your life that once you can genuinely not care what other people think, it really frees you. It's a very freeing experience to not be worried or concerned with how other people view you. It's kind of difficult in society to be that way. A lot of people don't like that very much when you don't care what they think. But at the end of the day, it's what frees you and makes you a stronger person. So in your life, if you can truly get to a place and not just say it, but to genuinely think it and be it and know it, that you just do not give a rat's whatever about what other people think, then that's a very powerful thing for you. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why I become successful in things that I do is partially because of that. Let's see. Next. Do you monitor your heart rate during jumps? No, I don't. What advice? And that came from Brian Pilton. Let's see. Matthew John Jans Rearling. Interesting. What advice or what thoughts do you have for new people interested in learning how to skydive wingsuit? Well, that's pretty easy. Just go skydiving. I mean, if you want to do it, the easiest thing to do is find a drop zone close to your house. You want a place that's not too hard to get to, that gives you access that you can jump regularly, because this is something you have to do quite a bit. So as you're jumping regularly, you have to do, hundreds of jumps before you put on a wingsuit. I think the suggestion is anywhere between 200 to 500 based on, the drop zone and the people you're around. Me personally, I think it depends on the person, but I would say 200 to 500 is a pretty good gauge. I mean, somewhere in there, you should find out if you're ready for it and when you're prepared to do it. So once you get the required number of skydives, you then need to find a coach, like someone who can help coach you and guide you down the right path, who has experience. Let's just say you got your couple hundred skydives, 200, 300, 400, 500, and you wanted to be coached. You can then fly someplace. Like Eloy has good coaches, Paris has good coaches, lots of drop zones in Florida have good coaches. So whatever part of the country you live in, there's places that have great coaches. Even if you're in Europe, there are great wingsuit coaches everywhere. So I would just go online, do some research. You'll find the places and the people who are good at that kind of stuff. And, and there's people who train wingsuit pilots. So that would be and also it's good to have the right kind of equipment. So you'd want to have a big 7-cell canopy that's docile. Me personally, I started skydiving base canopies because I love big, docile canopies where if I get line twists, I don't have to worry about cutting away, which is, for me, really important. So now I jump a Lobo 280, which is gigantic, but it's made out of very ultralight material, so it packs really small. So I can fit into a container built for 150. So it's actually quite nice. But anyways, that's the long answer for a very simple question. All it is about training. Just go jump as much as you can. Once you're ready, once you have the number of jumps that a coach will take you on, get a coach, and then they'll take you the rest of the way. And then you start with small wingsuits and you build your way up to the bigger wingsuits. What's really good now is that there's lots of places that rent suits, so you can rent a bunch of suits and then don't just buy a suit right away. I would rent a small suit, get used to it, then rent the next level instead of just buying suit after suit after suit. It's better to rent first, train with it, and then once you get to the suit that you actually want, then buy that suit and then go on. That would be my suggestion there. You're going to dive off the coast. The questions here go way too fast. I can't read the ones that come up live. I've gotten like 20 of them, but it's really hard to read them. Are you still active base jumping, and will you jump in much the future? That was the Sailor 450. Yeah, I'm still jumping. I'm actually leaving to go on a base jumping trip next week. We're going to Twin Falls. I'm going to be teaching my girlfriend, Allie, how to base jump, which is actually kind of exciting for me because it's going to be nice to get back to the basics, and it's going to be fun to jump a bridge again because I haven't done that in quite a long time. So yeah, I will be base jumping more this coming year. I'm going to be doing a lot of jumps off of Twin Falls, and then we're going to go to Europe and jump in off of Arco, big cliff in northern Italy. Then probably go to Switzerland, do some jumping there. I have a movie coming up that I'm going to have to do some stuff for, so there'll be some jumping in that. So yeah, I'm still doing a lot of jumping, and I'm going to be doing a lot of shark diving this year. So over the next few months, we're actually going to be doing a lot of that, and I'm going to be posting about it here. So you'll get to see the journey as we're going. Are you going to dive off the coast of Key West, and can you do it live? That's actually a good question. Yes, I will be diving off of Key West. There is some stuff out there that's quite cool that happens that I will be doing, and any opportunity I get to do live dives, I'll do. Now that we have the technology, I think that doing live scuba dives with sharks is actually quite exciting and interesting. So we will be doing more of that. The sharks off Key West are good like at certain times of year. So yes, the answer to your question, yes, I will be doing some diving off Key West, and yes, I will be trying to do live dives off of Key West, and hopefully we'll be able to get some sharks off there too. Nobody has ever jumped. I don't know what that was. So the live questions on here are really tough because they don't stay. They like come up and go away before I have an opportunity to answer them. But this is already 11 minutes, so it's a little bit longer than I was hoping. Do you come in France soon? Surf Cow, you can scroll down. Can I? Let me see. Oh, you're right, I can. Oh, thanks, buddy. That helped. Now I can actually see them. Are you going to dive off? Okay. If you were getting into base jumping now and had over 200 skydives, what training course would you take? There are lots of options around the world now, or do you have a course? Oh, okay, that's quite interesting. Yeah, there are lots of options around the world. And if you're in the United States, I would say go with Apex Base. I would say if you're in Europe, I would go with Dukes. Dukes' base course is actually quite good, very comprehensive. He's been jumping for a really long time, and I think he would be a great option for if you're in Europe. Love the videos. Can you talk a little about your aerial progression and what training you did, who you did it with, etc.? John McAvoy. McAvoy, that's an interesting name. My progression is not necessarily a good progression. I don't know if I would take how I did things as what should be done. I learned, I did this over 20 years ago, and I was kind of young, and I wasn't thinking straight. I was just too rushed. I wanted to do things too quickly. So for me, my progression was I did 150 skydives, the bare minimum, and I just rushed through them as quick as I could because I just wanted to base jump. And there was a group called Basic Research, which are now Apex Base. And their requirement was 200, but because I had done so many so fast, they kind of let me take their course a little early, which I did. And then I just started base jumping, and I kind of gave up on skydiving for quite some time, and that was a big mistake. That's not the way you should do it. I really now am a person who believes you need to have at least 500 to 1,000 skydives before you even think about going into base jumping training. Base jumping is incredibly technical, and to give yourself the best chance for success, do as many skydives as you can. There's no rush. You have your whole life to kill yourself. There's no reason to rush into something and break yourself so that you can't do it anymore. It's silly. So you might as well just take your time, do as many skydives as you can, because that's fun too. And then slowly work your way in. And then once you go through your base jumping training course, definitely go through a course, learn about equipment, go learn from the right people who've been in it for, decades and, have survived and can teach you the right way. And then, jump, high bridges with nice landing areas like the Prine, get comfortable there, then go to nice big cliffs with big landing areas where you've got lots of time to make mistakes. Then once you get really comfortable there, then you can take it to big high antennas, then go to legal building events like the KL event in Kuala Lumpur. That's legal with a nice landing area. Then you can slowly bring it down to smaller cliffs, 1,000-foot range, then slider down cliffs, and then slowly, it's a very, it's a progression that's different for different people, but the right progression is to just take it slow. Do as many jumps as you can in safe environments before you start pushing things. And at the end of the day, my problem and the reason why I think I got hurt so much is that I was always operating at 110% of my capabilities. I say most people should be at around 70% of what they can do, and that will help keep you safe. What do you think about illegal jumpers now that you only do legal jumps? That was Surf Cal. Illegal jumping. It's hard for me to really say much about. I don't do that anymore. I'm not interested in illegal, or I don't want to call it illegal. Let's call gray area jumping, like jumping where you're not sure what the laws really are, and you're kind of not getting permission from people, and I'm not into doing that anymore. And as far as the people who are doing it, as long as they're willing to take the risks for their actions, take the consequences for the risks that they're taking, well, that's their right. They can do whatever they want. It's a free world, and as long as they're willing to pay the price for it, then knock yourselves out. But I'm not interested in doing that kind of jumping anymore. Now I'm gotten to a place in my life where I want what I do to be positive for everyone. It's not just about me anymore. I'm tired of the me, all about me stuff. It's more now I want it to be a positive experience for everyone involved. So if I'm doing a jump for, off a building, then I want that building to be part of it. I want them to benefit from it. I want them to get publicity from it. I want them to get something from it. I want it to be a mutually beneficial situation. So when I do base jumps now, I like to get permits. I like to get approval. I like to make it into a project. I like to make it into something where everyone involved benefits, where it's not just going to cause traffic and make people late for work and, make police officers have to deal with something when they've already got other work they need to do. I'm much more interested now in doing things that are, like I said, mutually beneficial for everyone involved. So if I get something out of it, I want everyone else to get something out of it too. So this has gone on pretty long. It's now over 16 minutes. So I think I'm going to stop now, but that was actually a good thing. Now I see how this works. This is my first time doing this. So in the future, we'll do better because I see that there were a lot of questions and I was not understanding how to see them. But now I see them. So when we do this again, it'll be better because now I get how this works. This is my first attempt at this. So anyways, thank you guys for spending your time asking me questions. And next time I'll do better because I'm still getting to know this stuff. I'm still learning. But yeah, that was fun. And anyways, have a good one, everybody.